All right, hope you guys are doing well. And in this video, we're going to show you how you can create dozens and even hundreds of static ads using the very creative and talented Nano Banana and the power and beauty of N8N and automation. And when it comes to creating static ads for your promotions and campaigns, typically what a lot of marketers are doing is they're just creating a lot of ads to test. And usually what you're doing is you're trying to come up with creative visuals. You're trying to come up with headlines and hooks that are going to, get attention and really resonate with your target market. And so what this workflow is going to do is it's going to create a list, headlines, subheads. It's going to give you visual prompts or image prompts that you can use in your workflows. And it's also going to give you images that you can use for your advertising campaigns. It also includes UGC scripts and calls to action. So this is a complete package. And it's going to create some really interesting images. So, we were just testing it out with this example, which is a solar battery power station. And, it's really amazing the types of images that it can come up with all by itself. And so this is extremely powerful and really, really exciting. And so what we're going to be building today is an N8N workflow that uses the capabilities of Nano Banana to generate as many ads as you can imagine, right? Now, a few disclaimers. These ads are going to be almost completely computer generated unless you, work with the prompts yourselves. So they're really intended as starting points, but you can actually use some of the images, especially the ones that don't come with text. You can use the images for your actual ads, and they're great at doing lifestyle photos as well as doing product placements and, product ads. And so we're going to show you what that looks like. But the whole thing that really makes this work, because you can actually create a generator and just churn out ads all day long. What really makes this work is the customer research and the customer feedback that allows you to create ads that really resonate with different parts of your customer base. And so what we did was when we were starting this project, we actually didn't start out with the image generation. We actually started with the research, the customer research. And for this example, we're going to just show you two different products. The first is the solar power battery station, and the other is a health wellness supplement, basically a protein supplement. And so the first thing that we did was we really wanted to capture what customers found important when it came to buying these types of products. And fortunately, we have some amazing places where you can go to find customer reviews. And in this case, it was Amazon. Okay, so what we did was we actually went to Amazon and we looked at reviews for the power station, and there's for this particular product there's thousands of them, so we had a lot of feedback to be able to use. In both cases, we took reviews and we manually copied those reviews into a text file, and then what we did was we went to Claude and we asked Claude to basically review the product information as well as the reviews that we captured. And then based on that information, we told Claude to give us essentially a CSV file, a table of potential headlines, subheadlines, image prompts, calls to action, and even video scripts that we might actually use for a particular promotion. And we did this a couple of times, and Claude is really good at writing, and it's very powerful. So it came up with a list, in this case, 30 potential headlines along with the imagery, right? The visual assets. And then what we did was we built a campaign, we built a workflow around that. But before we go on, if you're interested in getting this, it's going to be available in the link below. And it's also going to come with its own training, as well as 2 months of membership to our upcoming Onyx Studios AI and Vibe community. So go ahead and check that out. So as we were saying, what we did was we took all of the customer research that we found on Amazon, and we were able to feed that back into Claude and come up with a list of potential ideas for headlines and image prompts and things like that. And then we use this to create our N8N automation. So if we go ahead and we go to the actual automation itself, what we were doing is we were actually using a form here, and we essentially took the CSV file and we processed that form. And what we wanted to do was we actually wanted to create two different types of ads or images. And the first image that we wanted to create was just an image itself. So we wanted to take all of the research, all of the reviews that we got, and we wanted to create dozens of images, right, or multiple images based on customer reviews and what people are actually using the product for. And then the second type of ad we wanted to create was with actual text, right? So like a traditional like text ad, static ad. And if we go here, you can see that we actually labeled all of our ads with either text or no text, right? So if we go here and we click on 10-year lifespan for the main headline, you can see that this was an example, right? Now, not all of the time it's going to come up with the best examples, but if we go back and we look at another one, lighter than the competition, I think this was a really good one actually, all right? So 23.8 pounds of pure power, right? It's actually pretty cool. And then it has the Jackery and Feel the Difference. Now, again, this is intended to give you ideas. This is not supposed to be the final ad itself, but you can see like it gives you some really, really good ideas for how you can actually transform this and use this in your advertising, all right? So let's go ahead and continue with the workflow here. So what we do is we take that CSV file we got, and then we are basically extracting all of the data that we need in order to create our ads. We're taking out the headline, the subheadline, the image prompt, and we're also using a product image URL. And this is really, really important if you want to do product ads and product placement with your images. It's really important. And so for this particular example, we actually used both the solar power station, and then we have our protein powder here. And I just use an example from doing a search, but you can take your product, you can actually install it and put it here and then start testing different ideas, right? And the fact that you can just generate as many as you want means that you're going to get some that are great, and then you're going to get some that they're not going to be so helpful. But it's still a very, very powerful way to create different ad creatives. And so once we extract the information, we are basically going to divide the task into generating images without text and then generating images with text, right? And so it's basically just going to send an API call to replicate, and then we're going to wait a few seconds, and then we're going to get that image. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to save that image to, in this case, we're using Amazon S3. We're going to save that image to our directory, and then we're going to update our Airtable. All right, so we'll actually be able to track, what assets are being created. And this is really, really important because you want to actually be able to, reference your ads. And the other nice thing about this is that you can take these ads and you can actually go ahead and, whether or not the image that was created was helpful, you can actually go in and change the image prompt, which is really, really cool. And we didn't use it this time, but we actually generated the a video script as well. So you can actually use that to generate UGC style ads. And what's really, really cool about this is just the fact that, we're not limited to stock photography or, trying to coordinate and schedule a photo shoot just for an ad, right? We can actually come up with ad ideas very, very quickly, and then we can create even better ads, all right? So let's just go ahead and show you how this works. So we have a form here, an N8N form, and all we're going to do is we are going to take our ad creative, and this is about, let's see here, how many do we have? We have, was that 14 ads? What we're going to do is we're just going to take our CSV file, we're going to place it here, and then we're just going to submit it. And it's going to start working. Now, if we go ahead and click on our executions, because it's not going to show up that it's actually actively working, what we're going to do is we're going to see that our job just recently started. Let's give it some time, right? So our job is running. And because of the delays that it takes to generate the image and then actually receive the image, this is going to take a little bit of time. But the nice thing is that, once the images start coming in, we will start to see them. So if we actually just wait a few seconds, actually, we should start to see the first image come in. And this is for, like, the first set is for our solar power station. And then the second set is for our protein powder. And again, these are all based, all of this information is coming directly from customer reviews, which is what makes this so powerful, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit of time to go through the process. And like I said, it's going to create two different types of ad. It's going to create an ad with text and an ad without text. And so if we just give it some time here. So as you can see, it's starting to populate our Airtable with our ads. And so we're just going to give it some time and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so while this is working, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the creative ideas that Claude came up with. Like I said, we took the research file of all of the customer reviews that we were able to collect, as well as the product information. This is also really important because it's going to give you more details to help you make even better images and headlines and calls to action. And so we took that text and then we asked Claude to review it and give us possible headlines, subheadlines, visuals, and things like that. And not only did it give us some really great creative ideas, it also extracted key themes from the reviews, okay? So you can kind of see, in this case, if we had like a competing product, if we had another, if we had our own solar battery power station, we could kind of see exactly what customers really love about the Jackery solar power station. And if we're either designing our product or if our product has similar features, we can actually use that in our advertising. And so in this case, Claude came up with a really, really good summary of each of the products that we were building ads around. And so you can actually use this in your own, workflows in your own creative process. But let's go ahead and take a look at these creative ideas. And this one, let's see here. This is the protein powder, and then these are the power station. And you can see that these are designed for like the format for the ads. And so they're very short, very punchy headlines. And so this one is built like a tank. That's sort of the sturdy, nature of the power station. Van life essential. So somewhere in the review, someone was mentioning that they use it for their van and going around in their van. Off-grid living solved. That's actually a really good subheadline. Box fan all night, stayed cool during outage. Right, so that's another use of the power station. Whenever there's an emergency or there's a hurricane or a storm and the lights go out, they can use this for extra power. And then let's see here, smartphone to power tools. So this highlights all of the things that, the power station can do and everything they can charge. All right, so now that it's finished, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the images it created for us. And as you can see, it finished in about 19 minutes and 39 seconds. And that was essentially 14 sets with two images per set. So that was about 28 ads, right? And again, they were doing them one at a time in parallel, okay? And so let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the ads it actually created for us. And this is for the protein ad. And this one was the picky eater ad. That's actually pretty good. Picky eater approved. And again, these ads are not going to be, ready to hit publish as soon as you get them, but they can create some very, very good ideas that you can actually use for your final versions, for the final ad, right? So this was pretty good. This was the Stop Appetite Cold, right? I would actually bring this down and use more of the real estate here, but that's actually pretty cool. And I would actually take him and I would probably put this here and maybe put the burger here, and like edit this, which you can do pretty easily. This one is interesting. I like the photo, right? I actually would probably like to use the photo rather than the text, but it's a pretty good layout. I like this one. Format, like the layout is a little bit too long. I'll probably use like a 1x1, but you could definitely do something with this. Maybe like a scoop next to a shake, like a shaker bottle, that kind of thing. That would be kind of cool. Let's see here. Vanilla over chocolate. That's interesting, right? You could definitely use this, right? Like to talk about the different flavors that are out there. Works in everything. I like this graphic, right? Showing you everything that you can create with their protein powder. That's actually really good. And the colors as well. So like I said, this is giving you some great ideas for all the different things that you can do. Then we have lost 35 pounds. We have the before and after. Toaster to coffee maker. That's actually pretty cool. I like that idea. Price drop alert, right? So if you have something that's going on sale, this is a great, this would be a great Black Friday ad, actually. As long as you know what the price is going to be. See here, built like a tank. That's actually pretty cool. I like the graphic there. This is pretty good because a lot of people use their solar panels. They charge the battery, so that's a great image. We've already seen that one. And powers the impossible. Okay, the headline is a little over the top, but it's a really good graphic of what it can do. All right, this was pretty interesting. Quieter than a whisper. Now, Nano Banana doesn't always get text, right? Doesn't always spell that well, but you could definitely use this for something else essentially. And basically, this is the reason why we actually generated two different sets. We wanted the one with the image, the one with the text, and the one without the text. This was pretty good. Charges while you drive. So a lot of people are using, they charge their power station while they're in the car. Let's see here. That's the same one. And then that's the same one. So let's take a look at the no text ads as well. And so these are going to be pretty similar, just without the text. Okay, now that was a little crazy. All right, that didn't quite work out that well, but that works really well. Let's see here. This one's interesting, right? Sometimes it still adds the text, but what are you going to do? That's an interesting one. I'm not sure what it was trying to think of, what the idea was. This is pretty good, where you have the advertised specs versus the actual performance, so you could probably use that to some degree. This is the van life one, right? So you always have the product featured in the ad, which is really cool. That's nice, although it's not really, it's not that dramatic, but maybe you could, improve it with some headlines there. This one was, I think, the other one it changed my life. This is actually a really good shot. This is like a good lifestyle shot that you can use for your campaigns. That's kind of what I was talking about with the other one. So maybe we could crop it and then use it to sort of showcase, the difference and what some of these contain and how you could use it. Let's see here. That's actually pretty cool. I'm not sure what that was trying to tell, but I like it's an interesting layout. That's before and after. Of course, if you're going to turn into a woman after eating the protein powder, I don't know, maybe we should, switch these out so they look kind of similar. But that's a dramatic transformation. All right, and so that's actually pretty cool. I like that one, nice and wholesome. And then that's pretty good. So what's nice about these is that you can also turn them into UGC style ads. So that's another reason why you would want to use something like that. But yeah, this is how you can create dozens and hundreds of ads using Nano Banana and N8N. And like I said, if you're interested in this and grabbing this, go ahead and check out the link below. And this comes with an in-depth training on not just being able to generate ads, but also being able to create an ad from start to finish. So what we do is we actually take some of these ideas and we actually work on these ideas until we get something to a finished ad. So go ahead and check that out. And if you also want to get a 2-month membership to our upcoming community, that'll be available. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how you can actually get a more consistent aspect ratios with Nano Banana. It's a common problem, and I kind of struggle with it myself. And I came up with a way that you can actually get Nano Banana to give you the aspect ratios you're looking for. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.